the flipped around European narrative for Christianity, which is Protestant, of course pagan Roman Catholicism, and then the new version of, I'm just going to say Yahudaism because that usually doesn't get censored, but when you do these weird false pronunciations, typically YouTube's looking for that. So I'm just going to say false Yahudaism, which on a large scale, these people are either Luciferians or they're atheists, especially a lot of the ones in America. The only ones that typically aren't atheists are the Orthodox Luciferian ones in New York. No, actually, the United States in Hebrew means land of the covenant. United States in Hebrew. I wonder what covenants are talking about. British is two Hebrew words, one for covenant and the other man. So the British are covenant men, or men of the covenant, and the Union Jack is short for the Union of the 12 tribes of Jacob. I mean, it's good that this person is admitting the little lies that they believe, because people have gotten so confused with the genealogy of these people who are obviously Europeans that when you talk about the fact that these people are Brits, because those are literally the people that colonized America and then eventually stole that land in the middle of the middle of Northeast Africa and the now called Middle East. People get confused, but I mean, they are Brits. The Brits are the people who literally founded that land that starts with I, which originally Yasharel had two kingdoms. Well, not originally. After all the different bullcrap fighting, it split into two kingdoms. So I mean, the word that starts with I would actually not even be the whole thing. That would just be part of it. But yeah, anywho. And the funny thing is, there's a couple of videos made by this lady that I'll put in the description, who grew up Mormon in that little Mormon weird cult. And she talks about all the different white supremacy that she was indoctrinated in. And of course, the narrative that they push, which is that the Caucasian Europeans are Europeans. Their right was to conquer the land of melanated people, pretty much. Which the funny thing is, of course I'm not for the BHI organization, or really any of these organizations and religious groups, but BHI often uses the Israelite maps from the Mormon Church, which is a list of the different people that are supposedly of true Yasharel, but it's kind of some false stuff in there, but yeah. And no, I'm not doing the whole everybody looks like the Judah tribe Bantus in America narrative. Nobody's really pushing that but Americans, to be honest. Or quote-unquote black Americans, or FBAs, as some people are calling themselves. Which I really feel like commonly anybody that's calling themselves FBA is probably a black conservative, which I wouldn't really trust too much of anything they say. I wouldn't trust a quote-unquote black liberal either, but yeah, anywho. The pride in Jezebelic Americans, really just because America has a pride issue in general. The Judah tribe Bantus in America are always acting like we're the only tribe and we're all the people and we're all the tribes, which would definitely mean that there's not a lot of us left if that was true. You'd be surprised how many people of true Yasharel who were of the tribes that didn't even get sent on the slave trade that I've met in person, who have been brainwashed by these BHI videos, and they have the same hateful spirits and even Hotep spirits on them as people who are Hoteps, people that listen to Billy Carson and 13 Keys, 12 Keys, whatever that dude's called. They have those same spirits on them where you can't tell them anything. And they commonly go into weird lust and perversion issues. Even this one boy I met, and I mean, he's a kid, but he fell into all types of weird little lust issues behind the spirits he was picking up off these American BHI videos. And I don't even really understand why he was watching them when he's of the tribes that never got sent into slavery. He was from Africa. He lived in Africa, but he moved to France. So you never lost your identity, but you're still falling into weird myths. and weird doctrines. And it even got to the point where like he was supposed to get engaged when he was like 16 or something, or he was, but like the girl left him because he was a quote unquote narcissist, as people like to say, which I don't even like this mental label bullcrap. And then he was like, he felt like he was delivered, but then he was like, he doesn't really feel like he ever was a narcissist anymore, because he used to watch those Dr. Romney videos, and now he just feels like he was just hyper controlling, but he was never actually abusive. And then he was like, I've gotten over the lust spirits, but I mean, it definitely is hard to like find deliverance, and like one, maybe due to being embarrassed, two, maybe to like time and place, but overall due to like a lot of scammy stuff and even cults out there, but that's its own video. But what was the other thing? Oh yeah. And then he was just like, well, I don't even have to watch porn anymore because now I can just call women whenever I want anything. And it's like, that's a downward spiral. But definitely pray for him though. I also feel like aside from all that, one of the issues is that his dad left, or his parents separated, and two, he lives in France, which is also a pretty narcissistic or Jezebelic society, because I really don't like the mental labels. And that's another thing. As much as we blame our issues on the most recent little enslavement incident, that's even what I could call it, I've noticed that those are the 12 tribes that haven't been sent on the slave trade. A lot of them are just as toxic, if not worse, than we are. So people really have to like stop making up different excuses and start fixing issues. Because man. But point is though, people are picking up spirits from these different little organizations and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and start reading this. So first of all, quote unquote white people are just as brainwashed, if not more, than everybody else. A lot of people seem to not realize like how deep all this is. Like for one, quote unquote white supremacy doesn't benefit everybody, it only benefits certain people. Like if you're a white American and you become homeless, as far as they care, you're inward to them now. Not to mention the real white supremacist serpent seed at the top. They own everything. They typically have more money, or they're actually completely rich. So like, they see lower level Caucasians, as I usually describe them in these cases, because that's how they see them, as like inferior pretty much. Just like how if you're quote unquote black and you have a southern accent, they're going to tell you that you're ghetto or you talk ghetto. Because the majority of the quote unquote black population lives in the South. So we've been conditioned to believe that like having an accent is being ghetto. And as far as acting ghetto, I already have plenty of videos about those stereotypes are typically just a Jezebel spirit, but it really has like nothing to do with an income bracket necessarily, but the trauma from being poor and family issues is what leads to the Jezebelicness. But anywho, when a quote unquote white person has a southern accent, what do like the white people on the West Coast or wherever else say about them? They say that they sound uneducated, they can't talk, they don't know how to talk, they sound stupid, they have a learning disability, they sound ghetto. And I realized this when I was younger, and I still like had never been anywhere, but especially since escaping the Cash for Kids system and traveling a lot, I've realized that even more, that definitely, it's true. Not only that, but like, people in the West Coast see the whole East Coast as quote unquote Southern and country. Like I had Californians tell me that New Yorkers were country and they had a Southern accent. And for whatever reason, quote unquote black people in the South believe that talking white is not having a Southern accent. Which is weird because a lot of the white people that you do meet in the South obviously have a Southern accent, but not all of them sound like they're from Texas or something. So yeah, once you become a homeless white person, you're considered the N-word. Homeless white people are really racist, especially in like the West Coast, but people in the West Coast or these liberal areas are pretty racist in general. But like, they're always going on rants about how white privilege isn't a thing, and they're always saying the N-word and other racist things, and the little go back to Mexico little insults to people who aren't even Mexican. Not that it would really make a difference, but it's because pretty much white supremacy is only for certain people, and they know that it isn't and has never meant anything or done anything for them. So in their mind, it's just not real. Like, I remember in the homeless community, quote unquote community in California, being woken up by white people screaming, "I don't deserve to be treated like this. I'm not a nigger," at 2 a.m. So yeah. But they're just as brainwashed as everybody else. And I kind of talk about this in, I think maybe the Gravity Falls breakdown and a more recent video, maybe the Ramses one, can't really remember. But pretty much all these people, these you-know-whos, as I just am going to call them, they're always very brainwashed. They've been through horrific abuse. Typically they've been SRA sex trafficked. Or, well, wait a minute. I don't know, can I say that? But that's what's typically happened to them by their own family. And they'll still make up excuses for these racial lies that have been used to pretty much play everybody around the world. On one of these channels that is probably banned, I did have a video where a lady who was one of these people and was taken through all types of ritual SRA trap by her family was pretty much acting like these people never claimed to be the actual Northeast Africans. And she was like, I know I'm white, and we know we're white, and we know we're European, and we know that we're Swedish, Irish, and German or whatever, and we never claim to be the people. And the idea that we perpetrate as the people or claim to be the original people is just anti-Semitic tropes. And it's like, but I'm not gonna lie though, they're not even in the actual Messianic Yahudaism as a religion, or the way as it was really called. They're not, obviously not of the ethnic origin. So hearing them run around saying the whole anti-term is really annoying as well. In fact, all these little anti and phobic terms are very annoying. Like, I used to talk about on one of my old channels that maybe the one that got compromised, or maybe no, the one that got banned, that there's this term going around, anti-Catholic. So now anytime you speak against or speak about the truth of these little religious organizations, you get told, oh, you're anti-Catholic. And they're probably going to be saying priest-phobic eventually. They're very brainwashed, and people don't think about this or care. All the ones I've met have been through horrendous SRA sex trap by their family and are still running. Many of them know they're Swedish, Irish, and German. That's another thing. A lot of the ones in America, because they're actually allowed to get DNA tests or they just know their ethnic origins, they'll tell you I'm Swedish, Irish, and German. They'll tell you I'm white. Not that the white label really means much, just like the black label. But like, I mean, you probably met many of them and been around them and don't even know it because, I mean, they're just white people. That's why I always say the real war is against the white supremacists at the top and the white supremacists at the bottom, or the lower and higher level Caucasians. And sometimes lower level ones will even pretend that they're not the same people, or they'll pretend that the Euro you-know-whats aren't just Caucasian Europeans. They'll pretend that they're not white. And like the video that I talked about a little while ago, which I'm going to put some screenshots in here, the dude who made the video, what the J you-know-whats think about white people. They are white people. You mean what they think about inferior or poor white people. And any other time, the lower level Caucasians, like the Christian ones, will still say, we're the chosen people. They don't separate themselves from the white people running around Northeast Africa or anywhere else claiming to be the J you-know-whats. German, French, British, etc. And will tell you, yet they'll still say they're a you-know-what, and the closest some come to Northeast African is Turk. Or really the closest that some come to now called Middle Eastern is Turkish. or maybe a true Caucasian. And the ones that go back to Rome, Greece, Italy, Babylon, and Egypt, like the Ramsey ones, the Rockefellers, which Rockefeller is a long translation that supposedly goes back to Rothschild. And every time they move to another country, well, every time they get kicked out of hundreds of countries, they change their names. These are the same royals, actually. The same people of the World Council of Churches, the Church of England, just the Renaissance people. All the Renaissance people are these people. Literally all of them. Even like the inventors, all the inventors, or the quote-unquote inventors, the thieves, which put out fallen angel technology. They made the weapons, or they learned how to make the weapons from the fallen angels. Especially the ones that start with G's, because I don't know what I can and can't say. And I've been thinking about this. This is so irrelevant, but I've been thinking about how, like, in America, the white supremacists like to put all the different little G situations onto quote-unquote black Americans. But these are the same people that brag about how they made G's and how they use G's to conquer everywhere and how they're never going to let their G's go and patriotic until the end. Like, they literally have country t-shirts that say stuff like G's, women, and I don't know, cows. Not cows, horses. Because I was thinking cowboys, but I guess cows too. Then another thing is, what that shirt say? Something like, G's aren't bad, or G's don't hurt people. Guys with pretty daughters do. Something like that. I mean, it's a funny shirt, kind of, but still, it just goes along with the point. I've seen somebody wearing this, actually. But Tesla, obviously Elon Musk, Benjamin Franklin, who else? Einstein, and they literally coined the term Einstein, which revolves around uplifting these people. The last name Einstein, I'm pretty sure that's a name change, because I mean they always change their names. The Wright brothers, etc., etc. Trying to remember where I was. Many are Russians. Russians are Caucasiatic, just like how many AAs are Bantus and are considered Afro-Asiatic, and Arabs identify as Eurasian, but not all of them are Russian. There's also the term that starts with a K, and the book was actually written by one of these serpent seed people. And I noticed that just like the term that somebody used for Matan, whenever these people do speak out about the truth of their people, they call them a self-hating you-know-what, or they call them a self-loathing you-know-what. / Turk thing that everyone was talking about, which is also not really that true because not all of them, especially worldwide, are Turks. Many of them are Swedish and Irish, which is why some have orange hair. Overall, the ones at the top go back to Egypt and Babylon. Many are French, Swedish, Irish, German, Turkish, Russian, Polish, Ukrainian, British. The ones that stole the U.S. and the land in Northeast Africa. Spanish, European, not Mexican, etc. So like the Sephardic would be the Spaniards or the European Spaniards, which commonly have black hair, like the Turks. These are on my copy and paste in docs. Then I also had put this in my docs notes, where somebody was using the whole, well, they're still sons of Noah thing, because people are talking about the Esau thing. Well, no, not Esau, Japheth, because Esau's Jacob's brother, but he's still obviously not of the tribes. He's not the one the lineage was chosen to pass down from. He didn't have the birthright. And also, Jacob didn't steal the birthright. The birthright was already his from the beginning anyways, because it was already said that the older would serve the younger. So yeah. But all white people don't come from Esau, so like a lot of this Esau stuff is no different from the whole KHA, you know what situation. So they were talking about Japheth. Everyone is, wait, okay, hold up. So I said, everyone is a son of Noah, but Noah wasn't Hebrew, only descendants of the 12 sons, or of the 12 tribes. Same with Ishmael. Arabs, but not Palestinian Canaanite. Just like how Moabites aren't Hebrews, even though they, I could be remembering pretty wrong, but if I'm remembering right, they descended from Lot's daughters when his daughters got him drunk and got pregnant by him. Because that's what happens when you're raised in Sodom and Gomorrah. So yeah, Moabites aren't Hebrews. Hebrews also created their own enemies, which I talk about that in some other video. Because Lot was only saved because Abraham wanted him to be, and Abraham was worried about him, and he wanted to intervene, or no, that's not the word, intercede for him. Same way Adam and Eve weren't Israelites, even though they were the first parents. But this is an argument that some people will use when you talk about the truth about Japheth and Ashkenaz, the son of Gomer, which Ashkenaz is still only one of these people, because the Ashkenaz is typically the red-haired Swedish, Irish, and German. The black-haired is commonly the Turk or Sephardic European Spaniards. But of course, there's other types of Europeans with black hair, but those are the two common ones. And there's a lot of these people that have blonde hair and blue eyes, or blonde hair and green eyes, which the green eye gene comes from the Middle East, or the now called Middle East. So from the mixing. But eye colors like green is also pretty well known for serpent seed, which I don't really know why exactly, because a lot of them do have blue eyes or brown eyes. But I can say that a good amount of them that are in Hollywood, a lot of these horribly exploited and abused teen boys, especially that were in Hollywood, that were of these people, they had blonde hair and green eyes, or brown hair and green eyes. And something I forgot to say, which I have to put out there before, the people who want to play white savior liberal, whether they're quote unquote white or not really, try to act like I'm being funny. Remember, Cain and Canaan are two different people. Canaan is long gone, unless maybe they're some serpent mix somewhere that people aren't talking about. But they're long gone. That was one of the sons of Adam and Eve. One of the first two, actually. And all that bullcrap happened with Cain and Abel. Has nothing to do with Canaan or Canaanites. Canaanites are the original people who were in the land of Canaan, which are the modern day Palestinians. Although I will say that a lot of the Canaanites are really majority the ones that true Yahs actually did take out, because they were supposed to take out all of them, but they didn't. The ones that they did take out were actually Nephilim giant mixes, not the actual human Canaanites. But they were supposed to take out all the Canaanites, which is just like the Moab thing, because true Yahs created all their own enemies by either literally breeding them themselves or allowing them to stay around. Which still has nothing to do with the modern issues in the now called Middle East anyways, because the main issue there now is that there's Europeans running around claiming to be the people and terrorizing everybody. And they've been doing it. People are just now talking about the current war situation, but they've been doing stuff for forever. They've been doing SRA traf, which they do with their own kids, just like they always did. Christopher Columbus and them trafficked their own kids. Benjamin Franklin had kid skeletons in his basement, all that stuff. But they've been spitting on the Ethiopians and Eritreans. They've been trafficking the organs of the Palestinians and other people. They've been doing what they've been doing. So, when Palestinians do a DNA test, they will tell you if they're really pure Palestinian. They have pure Canaanite DNA. So for just in case anybody comes and tries to pull that whole reverse bull crap and say I'm trying to like say Palestinians have the mark of Cain, which is a bull crap doctrine for a group of people that aren't still alive, which is typically used for quote unquote black people, sometimes other melanated people, but that's not what I'm talking about whatsoever. A lot of people think that Palestinians are Arabs, but they're actually not. The Arab nations, or Ishmael, actually just conquered a lot of the Middle East and a lot of other places. So that's actually why like a lot of Palestinians are now Muslims and they're in the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam is going to fight for them. But originally, and even still a lot of Palestinians are in the way or Messianic Yahudaism, which is another reason that they get spit on by the fake you-know-whos, along with the Eritreans and Ethiopians that they also spit on, but they don't like melanated people. These are the real white supremacists at the top. Like, if you're ever in New York, you'll notice that these people typically won't make eye contact with you, especially if you're melanated. So yeah, these are also the real racist people in California and all these other, especially liberal places, but a lot of them are conservative too. Not that it really makes a difference because it's all the same bull crap. But yeah, these are the super racist Californians and other people. They're typically these specific people. And while they're Swedish, Irish, and German, obviously there's the Europeans who say, you know, I'm just like, I'm Honduran, or I'm Turkish, or I'm Polish, or I'm from the UK, whatever. And then there's the ones that are actually claiming to be these people. I've even realized that a lot of them are in the South, and these are the extremely racist people. Not that there's not racist lower level Caucasians, obviously. To get to the point with the genealogy, starting off with Elon Musk. So obviously he's one of these people. He's serpent seed. He's what I would also call a dark anointed person, chosen for a bad cause instead of a good one. You may have even heard about the whole Alien, the Moonchild book and all that. Not really going to go into that though. But obviously Russian and Polish, Caucasiatic. Some of his features remind me of a YouTuber I used to watch when I was a lot younger who's Polish. The dude from Bible Flock Box. And no, I'm not accusing him of anything or saying whatever in the world people will try to act like I'm saying. I just noticed the similar features and then that's it. This guy is one of those people. I would say definitely a lot of different little genetic things going on here. I can see like the Irish side, of course, but there's other stuff. But I mean the brown hair, definitely. And it really beats the whole Anglo argument because a lot of these people are Anglos. And as you know, he's a dude from Ancient Aliens and I think even other History Channel shows. He pushes occultic doctrines of Anunnaki / fallen angel worship. Of course, Matan, I already have a video about him. Not anything rude, of course, really just talking about the issue of industry plants and kids being, or really anybody being exploited, especially for like the sexually suggestive political content that he's being used to make and has been throughout the years. But I would say though that while he's one of these people, he does seem to have like some Arab or Palestinian DNA. I would say like mixed. But he's still one of these people though. And that could be like the reason for the black hair. More so than even like the Turkish side, because he's definitely like half Arab or something. I talk about in my other video about him how since he's being used to like portray being against Traff, which I mean, I'm not saying he's not. I would say he's a victim himself, but I'm just saying he's being used to like seem like he's speaking against these people, even though his parents are big political figures in that land in the Middle East apparently. And so people are saying he's a self-loathing you know what. Then it's still kind of like, yeah, he could be like a Turk or Sephardic, but it's whatever. Maybe another one of the couple of different groups that they have. But of course this guy, he's one of those people. So is Trump. I mean, all of these people are. they're all related in the higher ups. I think I forgot to mention like the French ones, like the DuPonts, which are also connected to the Italian ones, like Christopher Columbus. So actually, I may have like forgot this part, but the European Spaniards and the Italian ones, which are, of course, are both like technically Latino, which means Greek or Roman roots, really. But a lot of people that are like using this term don't know that. But they're also both Sephardic. And like even in the Bible, they talk about the Greco-Roman Hellenistic you-know-whos, which were Luciferians. The Bible also mentions the fake Babylonian converts and how like when they went in Egypt, some people would say that they wanted to stay and they wanted to join because true Yahshua creates their own enemies. When they went into captivity in Babylon, some Babylonians would come out with them and say, we want to convert. This is how all this led up to what it is today. I always say Drake is an Obama, which Obama is the Antichrist, but I'm not going to go into that. So, anywho, they're both half serpent seed. But the thing with Obama, though, is that nobody really knows where he came from. Like, some people were taught that he's from Kenya, others were taught that he's Hawaiian, others were taught that he's from Chicago. People in Chicago said that they've never heard of him, never seen him, ever really. And now to think about it, I do kind of see how Donald Trump talks like one of these people that's from New York. Christopher Columbus, Italian Sephardic, who trapped his own kids and was attracted to animals. How come in the corner picture he looks like one of the Polish Russian ones and his face is fatter? And of course he's doing the Freemason hand sign with the M on the chest, but I'm not going to go into that though. I did recently make a video with like some different pictures of a book, and it even talks about actually how these Luciferian bloodline people, or the quote-unquote founding fathers and what are they called, the Pilgrims, those different people, had purposely mixed with true Yasharel, Black American Aboriginals, and the Native Americans, which when people say Native American, they really think Asians or Assyrians that like came over here. But it's still funny though, because typically like all the people that I've seen that are saying that they're Native American are always white. But I mean, there's definitely a lot of mixing though. There's like a lot of what is it called, Creole and Cajun ones as well. But anywho, they purposely mix with natives, and it makes me think more about the Pocahontas story. But supposedly they did this mixing to have like more people to carry out bloodline little rituals and keep like the artifacts and pass them along, things like that. There's a part of the book that says that, and I'll put the video in the description. So, some Sephardics, these people definitely look Irish. And you can see here the Irish ones and the Swedish ones, or one of the Swedish ones. This dude who makes YouTube videos, he's definitely one of those people. I can tell that. There's another one too that's the Irish red-haired one. I can't remember what his YouTube name is, but he makes more so somewhat exploitative videos, like running around recording homeless people and poor people. You can see the one like kind of in the middle, that's the Irish one. Although, I mean, they could all be Swedish, Irish, or German. Well, actually, not so much the German, but Swedish or Irish, because either one could have orange hair. Russians are Caucasiatic. Putin's somewhat similar features to Elon Musk, and even like other ones that are Polish or Russian. The dude in this picture kind of looks somewhat similar. The one on the left. So you see like the head shape, not trying to be rude obviously, but just like kind of like round. This is kind of irrelevant, but the argument against Caucasian and true Caucasian, I mentioned this probably on like an old channel that is probably deleted, but the argument between not wanting to be called white or Caucasian for different reasons, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also to like try to like separate people from different things that have happened or are happening. The fathers of evil psychiatry, along with John D. Rockefeller, the whole medical system is evil. But also, one of the main points of psychiatry is to normalize chomoism, which is already normalized in like all cultures and civilizations, but like to a very bad extent. And also normalize other paraphilias, which are the same books that they've been writing that have been banned and burned. I've even met a couple who were taken through SRA trap, and then they go to college and get a PhD just to write books about how not all chomos are bad. And I mean, I can see the issue of demonization and having like different sexual issues that you don't want to have versus actually doing stuff to people. But still, like, they're trying to normalize stuff. And I think that's PewDiePie maybe. I never watched his channel, but I remember him and Jacksepticeye are pretty famous at one point in time. So PewDiePie, not saying that they're one of these people, I'm just using them as examples, is one of the Swedish people with orange hair. And Jacksepticeye is one of the Irish people with brown hair, or even kind of like black hair almost. Which I forgot to mention, this could go into the Esau thing, somewhat. Because Esau was albino, or quote-unquote white, with orange hair. And these are Turks, which some of them are Muslims. And you even see how like this hat is similar to the Striner's hat, which is worn by Grunkle Stan in Gravity Falls, which is made by somebody in the Serpent bloodline about him and his sister and people in the Serpent bloodline being Freemasons pretty much, in the end times as well. Which I forgot to put in a picture of Alex Hirsch. He's obviously, him and his sister are obviously the Irish ones. I gotta remember to do that. Similar to some of the Turks and Sephardics, a Polish lady, or other Polish people as well, with jet black hair. Of course, this guy, who you probably already know, I have plenty of videos about that, in the original True Theory of Evolution, which anybody who teaches the theory of evolution is crowned a Satanist high priest in the spirit realm. And it's definitely one of the Irish ones. Or at least it looks like that from that picture in black and white. She could have been Sephardic, but either way. Irish or Swedish. But I'm not gonna lie though, he's pretty cute. But crazy thing is though, Isaac was like 21 or 24 in this movie. Malachi's obviously Swedish or Irish. There's that. Oh yeah, I remember what I was supposed to say for this. A lot of these Hollywood boys, I mean obviously the girls too, but the boys especially were like put on billboards and really raised up there these people. I threw him in here because he's Swedish or Irish, not just because he's cute. The annoying reality of white supremacists accusing melanated people of being white supremacists. So like the bullcrap reverse psychology that happened behind the Kanye West controlled opposition bullcrap that he was used to do, and how of course the real white supremacists accuse quote unquote black people of being the you-know-who's, the NAZIS's, which they are these people. They took out their own people, which is actually like the main narrative. That the whole issue was about Caucasian Europeans taking out their own people, which actually a lot of Indians and other melanated people, even quote unquote black people, were taken out. Definitely way more than Caucasians actually were. But aside from that, that's the main narrative that you're fed. Which is also why I don't even understand why the white Christians are always like pushing this idea that none of this stuff is real, none of it matters, none of it is real anymore, nothing's happening, ICE doesn't exist. Even though the main narrative that they were pushed is that other white people are more at risk in an oppressive eugenics nation, which America/Babylon is becoming and will get worse and worse as we go deeper into the beast system. Like Pastor Stephen Darby said, light skin is a new world order, and it really is. And I have a video, I think, on Rumble that kind of goes into that agenda. And keep in mind, everything that Adolf knew, he learned from America, actually. So that's another funny side. And Adolf wasn't even German. If I'm remembering right, which I may not be, he's Belgian, which is close to France. I should have checked. I could be really wrong though, but either way, I know he's not German. And he pushed the whole blonde hair, blue eyes thing, but he didn't even have blonde hair, blue eyes. Actually, more of these people had blonde hair and blue eyes than he did, or than like some Germans did. Still, a lot of these people are Germans, so either way, it's whatever. Then you may know that a lot of Indians have this on their forehead. And due to that, these people also pulled the whole reverse white supremacy thing and will call Indians Nazis, even though a lot of them were taken out during this whole situation. Definitely more of them than the Caucasian Europeans. But this is a stolen symbol. This is a spinning sun god Ra, which is also used in Egypt. I mean, I'm sure it was used in like ancient Europe or something too, because I mean, all people groups were pagans and Luciferians, but true Yasharel. But then we will like follow other people into their paganism. So I mean, they all use the same different symbols. Just like how the cross is actually a pagan symbol. And the peace symbol is actually a broken cross. But it's funny how Europeans are always used as everybody's judgment. Every time melanated people or a true Yasharel goes into like idolatry and paganism and stuff, the Europeans, or in previous times Mediterranean snow people and mountain people, are used to judge people. So like pretty much, I guess maybe they were always practicing the higher ranking witchcraft, because they would always conquer the people worshiping lower ranking deities. But I also feel like originally, like in the beginning of the quote-unquote Caucasian race, typically they were very atheistic or pagan or straight up Luciferians, but even more so really atheistic. So one of the things is that the melanated people would actually say that they were going to worship God, and then they would like switch up, which is why they're judged more harshly than people who just like always said that they really rather be in philosophy and science. So, this serpent sea reptilian with fangs that poses as a Swedish man, or a you-know-who. The ones at the top, a lot of them are reptilians. I mean, look at this. In fact, no, I would say maybe it's not even just that. There's one that's a reptilian, then there's the one that's actually a Swedish dude, maybe. Maybe, possibly. And you see sometimes, like, his eyes are blue, then other times they're green, then they're, like, brown, and then they're gray here. Yeah, so this is Nero, the story of horrors, especially for like a 16-year-old with all the stuff that he was into. But yeah, I guess kind of like being raised in Sodom and Gomorrah. So some statues. And one thing I can throw in though is that I recently had an epiphany. I noticed that people talk about the hypersexualization with like the alphabet in schools and like the quote-unquote children's books. But if you really think about it though, I mean, you literally get forced to go to museums and read books with naked statues of Greek dudes and Italian guys and stuff, starting elementary, but nobody says anything about that. And it's the same thing. And like, some of the people that make videos about these people and try to act like they're not like Caucasian Europeans for whatever reason, they'll talk about the whole hooked nose thing. Or like a nose like Dr. Doofenshmirtz. They'll talk about stuff like that. But I mean, so many different groups of Europeans have that, which these people are. Like, I mean, some French, some, I don't know, Russian. Now to think about it, the last name Doofenshmirtz, he's probably one of those people. Honestly, Phineas definitely is. Ferb probably is too, but still. It's like, it's just weird. It's a lot of cover-ups that still happen. Kind of like the different, I don't know, truther, Christian preacher, whatever in the world, people that know who the real people are, but they won't say it because they know they're going to get backlash. And another thing, the truther people that will admit that these people aren't the real people of the book, they still typically won't admit who the people of the book are. So they'll just push replacement theory. Which, if you want to be honest, replacement theory is still the idea that Caucasian Europeans are the people. It's just another form of putting it while leaving out the higher level Caucasians that actually do have the money that they're jealous of, that say that they're the people, but are the serpent seed. And the true Caucasian versus not true Caucasian argument also makes me think about how, like, was it the Romans? Can't really remember, but the quote-unquote white people with brown hair would consider the ones with blonde hair to be barbarians and uncivilized. And another funny thing is similar to how they want to move away from the white label now, or some of them at least, and the Caucasian label, which the white label is just for a purity complex. Some of them also claim that, or pretend that they have no ties to the Greeks and Romans, and it's just bullcrap. I mean, the Greeks and Romans, that's what branched off into the different, now called European kingdoms. And a Swedish person that I almost forgot, which I still forgot, Alex Hirsch, although I would say maybe he's more so one of the Irish ones. And Greta Thunberg, something like that. Thunderberger is definitely one of those last names, though. Which LT Corbett actually made a video mocking Thunderberg or whatever in the world wants. And I still have yet to make the personal individual video about LT Corbett. And of course, since I see things deeper than the little face value flipped around narratives that people try to push, it's definitely not going to be talking junk. It's always been pretty obvious that LT Corbett was banned because of things that she said about other Caucasian Europeans, not any of the other narratives that the left and Californians were pushing. Part of the reason that I would say she can't be an industry plant, or probably isn't, and probably isn't one of those people either, is because, one, still obviously, not all Europeans are running around claiming to be Northeast African. It's only certain ones of these different Swedish, Irish, German, etc. people that are claiming these different lies, which she never claimed, and she actually spoke against these people. Two, the fact that she started making videos at 10 and went viral at 11, and I think it was because of Rice Gum actually making a video talking junk about her. And by 14 was banned off of every social media, and the school, since they found out about her videos and claimed that they were rude and hurtful and all those other things, they played white savior liberal as if they cared about any of the racial stuff. And not just like the things she said about other Caucasian Europeans, specifically the serpent seed, and especially like different chomos. People really got her banned for that as well. They hated the little exposés that she would do on traf and just like everyday pedos out in the world. And trust me, as actually racist as white savior liberals and liberal areas in general are, like California, they could care less about somebody being racist, trust me. That is not the issue they had whatsoever. And other people's argument was that she's being used by the right, and it has to be her parents behind the screen that are using her to be, phobic, alphabet phobic, I guess I could say. Which went into the bigger argument that she has to be being used because there's no way a kid is that smart. That was the bigger argument that people had. And the funny thing is, while LT Corbett is a couple years older than me, it's still interesting that people think like this, because when I was younger, I knew a couple other people who were interested in the same topics, but LT Corbett was the first person that I really felt I somewhat kind of identified with, for certain things at least, as far as like being interested in this type of research. Although, of course, due to cultural things and background, she was still an atheist. So there was that part. Which it is kind of interesting that somebody could say that they're an atheist, but still hold these types of values and even make videos about how these different elite people and even lower level people are doing essay rituals for Luciferianism. But supposedly she eventually converted to Catholicism. I don't really think she became Catholic, but she did start reading like the Book of Enoch at one point. But anywho, it just shows how people are so used to like younger people or people in general being dumbed down and never coming out of the brainwashing. Like, people were even threatening to report her parents to CPS and try to get her put in foster care because, quote unquote, there's no way a kid is that smart. There's no way a kid came up with this. Somebody else is writing her scripts. Somebody else is telling her this stuff. You shouldn't have to have somebody in your ear to form your own opinions, and it's sad that it's like that, which is all done by design, of course, because they don't want people to think for themselves. Like, the whole point of the school system, as John D. Rockefeller said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. Like, even in recent times, I've had people tell me, weird, crazy mess, to be honest. Quote unquote, you're too opinionated to be a child who's never had sex before. Then, of course, other accusations that follow. Bullcrap mental labels. You're quote unquote bad, you're quote unquote, I don't know if I can say the word or not, retarded, slow, what's the other word people use? Oh yeah, paranoid schizophrenic, which is a racial label. Because I also noticed that, like, L.T. Corbis could talk about the same things that I would talk about, but I would be called schizophrenic for it, and she'd just be a conservative white girl. Then as far as the accusations about her parents writing her scripts, the funny thing is that the person that would help her with her scripts was actually another kid who also graduated early. I don't know if he also got kicked out though, but he graduated early. He definitely was really racist though. I think he was like a European Spaniard, so like actual Spanish. And scary enough, he was also, of course, a psychologist. He graduated early at like 14 or so, similar to L.T. Corbis, and then he went to college for psychology. And funny enough, these people also both fit or have the high-functioning autism label, which I don't like these labels, and I already talk about how like the whole neurodivergent thing is for anointed and prophetic people to confuse them. But that was the reasoning behind, or could be used as the reasoning behind, why a kid was that smart and being able to think for themselves and connect patterns and dots and notice the bullcrap in the world. It's actually funny though how quote-unquote autistic people are commonly dragged into the left or the right. Like I was out and some dude who said he was autistic was deep into the right. He was talking about how he likes ICE and how his brother worked for ICE and the National Guard or Border Patrol or whatever, and how he was kidnapping people and how he's a millionaire and he's also in crypto and they live in Alaska, etc., bullcrap. But the funny thing is, L.T. Corbis actually isn't even a conservative. She actually knows that the left and the right are both fake and has talked about that before in videos. On, I don't even remember, what was it, BitChute? I don't even know. Like, I've been meaning to upload a funny clip where she was talking about how some people think that the right is actually telling them the truth and that the right is the good side and that they're quote-unquote woke, not the new meaning of woke, that white liberals and conservatives both have been very much destroying. Like, the new meaning has nothing to do with the old. Anyways, in the clip, she was like, if you think that the right cares about you in the slightest, congratulations, you're an early onset MKUltra victim. But it's for real though. But yeah, I just feel like if she was actually an industry plant or something, a lot of things wouldn't have happened, but also I feel like she'd be back out by now. Like how Little Tay, all the stuff was done with her and she was exploited and tortured. They took her through all the MKUltra and now she's back out in the public view. And she was also one of the people being used to push the whole stereotypical acting black persona, which is actually just a certain form of trauma-based mind control. And it's really annoying when like quote-unquote black people say things like, we don't act like this is a stereotypical liar, this is prejudice. And then when people like Daniel Bergoli / the Catch Me Outside girl come out, they're like, she's acting black. But yeah, I can't lie though, With the fact that she was living in San Francisco, at least at the time of everything taking off and going left and south, it makes sense that she would go from like the bullcrap she was having forced on her in schools to going very far right. It's like, it just makes sense that somebody would react that way. But unfortunately, she's still a lot less racist than a lot of the liberals. Okay, so the more I have to go back and edit things in, the worse the quality gets. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the only people I forgot to add in was the Amish. I had to add in these other screenshots from that YouTube video I mentioned with the dude who was talking about what the you-know-who's think about white people, even though they are the white people as well. I mean, they're also Caucasians, and I mean, I've talked about this guy before. I mean, literally, he looks like he could be one of the Irish ones. That's why it's funny to me when, like, other white people who are also racist try to, like, play this back and forth. And really, they're just mad because the white supremacists at the top said that they were going to make the money and they were all going to do all the stuff that they did and they were going to share it, and they didn't. That's why this war is all about the white supremacists at the top and the ones at the bottom. Like, you'll even notice that the lower level Caucasians and the serpent seed both use terms like the we was kings and different things like that, or the usual suspects, which is sometimes used really out of context. And it's also obvious that, like, he has some hate spirits on him and, like, different stuff going on, because, like, just the speech patterns and how, like, he's doing that slow talk with the death stare. As far as the video content, honestly, I'm not the one to make up excuses for anything, so I agree with most of the content, to be honest. But still, though, it's like, I feel like a lot of these people making these videos are also just like controlled oppositions to like further cause issues. And then he was saying that the Somalis or the Ethiopians or something are kind of different because they can go to school and get education. I'm not for the school stuff for anybody, to be honest. It's all like a cult. But I will say that due to the fact that the Africans are like not under the same trauma-based mind control and social conditioning, really as a lot of people in America, I would say that they're more than kind of different and do actually do a good job. Of course, I mean, he's gonna either be a hater or play the role of a hater just to further all these different little divide and conquer stuff that they're trying to push. But yeah, narratives like this, these flipped around narratives about who's like not white when they want to try to hide things, it's no different from when they try to say that the you-know-whats are just albinos. So I mean, if they're albinos, you're albino, which I mean technically that is the reality of these different quote-unquote races anyway, because everybody came from the same two people in the now called Negroid race, which these terms were still created by the serpent seed, but I mean, it holds more grounds than the black and white bullcrap people have been conditioned to believe recently. And I mean, for all the people in the comment section, he's one of them, they're one of them. I mean, he's very obviously like Irish and whatever else. I mean, he almost looks like Alex Hirsch, to be honest. Especially with the hair color. So I mean, I know as always people will find some way to get offended, even by issues that really don't even concern them, because really this only concerns the actual real people. And as far as I care, he has the same spirits as the Hoteps, but with less enlightenment. But yeah. And while I still do feel like some of these people are getting paid to make channels like this to push narratives, I'm still never going to push the obvious lies that most so-called truther channels, I don't even call myself that, but when I stopped watching them years ago, I noticed like a lot of issues with them. But whenever I stumble across one, I notice the same bullcrap narratives. Racism isn't real. People just want to make quote-unquote white people look bad or sound bad. NAZISs aren't real. America/Babylon isn't becoming the whatever in the world nation again. Not that it ever really wasn't anymore, but it's going to be very open as the beast system gets worse. And it's going to cause issues for everybody. Also, these prideful narratives that America isn't being judged and everything is harp and that's harp and this is harp. Actually, I don't even know if I can use that word, but that's all bullcrap. As in-depth as America is, trillions of dollars in depth and the US dollar is falling, you really even think they can afford to even pull some harp stuff? Like, isn't all the money going into ICE and Border Patrol and the National Guard now? And of course, Abbott and Allied Security? But as I've said before, if you're around people that don't believe in NAZISs and they don't believe the triple K or any of that stuff is real or ever was real or still is happening, you need to get away from them. Okay, so one thing I will add in though, the thing with a lot of the thing with the black and white stuff is that the two groups are very similar, especially like with all the issues that Americans have in general when it comes to pride. And it's like they do the same things, but then they say, no, your kids do that, no, your kids do that, no. Like, realistically, both groups have no accountability, but also sibling rivalry. So it's like, no, he hit me, he has his foot on me, he keeps pointing at me, she said that my eye looks funny. That's what all of it is, but like a more dangerous form of it. But of course, the serpent seed also have DNA that isn't human. And aside from the RH negative thing, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is definitely a reptilian. And there's also obviously melanated people that also like are part of the serpent seed bloodline, but more so, well, there's a lot of different little groups that aren't really human, but that could be its own video. So there's this. Pretend not to understand their ebonic nonsense language and infuriates them. And these are the people under the mind control. All of it goes back to the British accent. Like, it's literally all just a southern accent. A lot of the quote-unquote ebonics is French. Like, bougie, that's French, which actually is bourgeois. Don't know if I can really pronounce that, but that's the first example that comes to mind. And I noticed in Louisiana that it's also like some old English tied in there. Then the first comment. You guys talk about the you-know-who's, but realistically, the you-know-who's, the real white supremacist at the top, made all these things that he's talking about in the first comment. But yeah, this reminds me of another video where I showed a screenshot where this dude was talking about this lady saying she had white fatigue. I can't lie though, I really don't know what this white fatigue, black fatigue stuff means. In the comment, the dude was like, so she's tired of Jesus Christ, roads, highways. Okay, forgot to mention some of the first Nephilim giants, and yes, the Nephilim giants, not the other ones, not the other mythical creatures, which also could be considered Nephilim or GMOs. Just the giants. Some of the first ones of those were albino, or quote-unquote white, as people say now, with orange hair. The only RH negative people that are melanated, especially lower level ones, they got it from slavery. So like, the few melanated people that do have RH negative blood got it from slavery. And I'm talking about lower level, not like maybe, I don't know, high ranking melanated people that are in like some, I don't know, occultic group like Beyonce, which I mean, she's in the bloodline as well. She's in the slave trading bloodline, and there is mixing done for that. But yeah, I'm gonna make another video about how the serpent seed really drags quote-unquote white people, and especially true Yahs, back and forth in these narratives about one group supposedly being aliens, or really both. Really just because, as I've said before, one of the things about the beast system is that everybody's waiting for some beings to come back. Mostly fallen angels / Anunnaki, and then different GMO demon hybrids, but not Yahweh. And another thing, Adolf believed that they were Aryans. And the hippie god, or Catholic and Protestant god, Caesar Borgia, actually is a Nordic Aryan Pleiadian, which is a type of quote-unquote alien or demon hybrid that pretty much just looks like tall, beautiful, glowing, what was it, like Scandinavians or Europeans in general, more so Eastern ones. The blue eyes and blonde or black or brown hair.